Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Golden Black Radio as we take a look at this week in Purdue Athletics. Here's your host, Kyle Charters.
Purdue is ready for the start of its season. One the Big Ten hopes is a little more normal this year. We'll review the Big Ten Media Days, preview Purdue's camp. It's ahead on Gold and Black Radio. Kyle Charters here with Tom Dienhart, who is back from Indianapolis late last week, where the Big Ten held its Media Days. Jeff Brom, David Bell, Jackson Anthrop, George Karlaftis down there as the Boilermaker representatives. Tom, we always talk a little bit about these kind of big events that oftentimes there's not a whole lot of new news. Was there anything new about Purdue that you learned late last week?
Well, I think maybe one of the biggest, Kyle, was Coach Brom telling me after he was on the dais on Friday that he thought by the end of this month, July, that 90% of the football team would be vaccinated. So we all know, the potential issues there if you don't have vaccinated players, possible guys missing games, quarantines, who knows? I mean, maybe you don't have enough players to play a game. And the Big Ten still has not decided how it's going to handle that. Are they going to deem those, no contest forfeits and not reschedule them? I think that's going to be the case. But Commissioner Warren late last week said they were going to convene in early August and come up with an official policy. So I think the vaccination issue for Purdue was maybe one of the biggest things. A couple of just minor injury things. Their backup center, Sam Garvin, has a back issue. He's going to be out to start the year. Could jeopardize his entire season. I think Spencer Holstead would be the backup center if that's the case, just to Gus Hartwig. And one of their incoming freshmen, offensive lineman Marcus Bowe, a real good-looking kid from Wisconsin, who I know Coach Brom likes a lot, has tweaked an ankle and is out indefinitely. I mean, he may have had a chance to maybe play a little bit this year. So I think maybe those are some of the highlights as far as really newsy things coming out of Indy.
Yeah, the vaccination rate thing is something we're going to talk about with a lot of teams, it feels like, this year, because I do sense that we're going to have, some more issues just because we're seeing them, across the country, maybe in more individual sports or Olympic-type sports right now. But, to have that high a vaccination rate that's trending above, what society's average is, seems to be pretty good if you're wanting to try and play all 12 of your games this year.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And Purdue, the football program, I know, is doing all it can to educate the players. They've brought in doctors from the outside. They've had their internal physicians talk to the players about the vaccination. They obviously make it easy to get the vaccination administered if they want it. They bring it over to the facility from time to time as well. So it's there and available, and the questions can be answered by experts. So you can't force anybody, Kyle. And we'll see where all this goes. I guess the big worry now, at least for me, when I watch the news, is we're seeing people who are vaccinated still getting infected. So that's a whole other twist in this plot that's been going on now for about 18 months. So, like I said, we all hope and pray that not just football, but everybody can get back to normalcy. It looks like we're getting there, but it looks like we've hit a big bump in the road here.
Let's talk a little bit about that injury situation, particularly, Tom, when it comes to the offensive line. Sam Garvin dealing with an injury that might keep him out. When do you start to get concerned about a position that we felt like Purdue was going to have a lot of returning starters? I think if you added all the guys back in who are now either sidelined due to injury or departed, I think Purdue would have had like 9 guys returning that had at least one start. You're probably down to like 5 now, right? So there is some concern now about the depth of the offensive line.
Yeah, you've lost some guys like Will Bramall, who started a handful of games in his career, could play tackle and guard. Kyle Jornigan, of course, started a few games last year as well. We talked about Sam Garvin, obviously. Now Marcus Bowe, the incoming freshman as well. That sort of chipped away at some of that, depth that the offensive line would have had. I guess for some reason I'm not wringing my hands too much. I think, again, from left to right, I think you're probably going to see Greg Long at left tackle and Spencer Holstedge at left guard. Talked about Hartwig at center. Tyler Witt, the Western Kentucky kid, at right guard. And I think Cam Craig most likely is going to be your right tackle. Craig can play some guard as well. Eric Miller is going to be a nice backup tackle, I think. They like Jared Bazinski quite a bit, a redshirt freshman from Berea, Ohio. DJ Washington's back as well, a guy who can play on the interior. Josh Kaltenberger's a guy they're working out at center a little bit, too. Even Greg Long is getting some snaps at center, I guess, too. So I think, you always hate to lose anybody, but I think there's still enough workable bodies there. Depth, again, you're getting thin where if you start getting hit with more injuries, you're really going to be perilous and nervous about it. But right now, I think Purdue, if things hold steady, should still be okay up front.
Jeff Brom did not name a starting quarterback. Not shocking.
Yeah, no shock there. yeah, I guess we all expected that. We anticipated that. I always think it's an important issue. It's obviously a huge position. Speaking with him before I got to Indy, it really sounds like they hope to have a starter named, he said, internally pretty quickly into camp, maybe a week or so into camp. So I think they'll get somebody picked out before camp concludes or is halfway through here. Let that somebody get their fair share of reps with the ones, and they'll move forward there. Of course, the main contenders are Aiden O'Connell, the fifth-year senior, and Jack Plummer, the fifth-year senior. I really think still in my heart of hearts I'm leaning toward Aiden O'Connell. I just think, again, I know Jeff wants to pass, wants to be able to run the ball better, wants his quarterback to be more involved in the run game. I know that's not O'Connell's strength. I still just think, though, because of the way he throws the football, and he beat this guy last year, Plummer, in the same situation. So I think in the end, I guess I'll be slightly surprised if Aide's not the guy takes that first snap against the Beavers there in season opener in Ross Ade.
Perhaps the biggest topic or theme for Purdue, not only at media days but here recently, has been what it hopes is upgrades on the defensive side, both in personnel and in coaching staff. But part of that, too, is just in style of play. And, it's my feeling that part of Purdue's problem last year was a conflict in personality, maybe like of the people involved, but also a conflict in personality of the units themselves, right? Like you have an offense that wants to play aggressive and then the defense last year that wanted to just sit back and sort of let the offense make a mistake or, bend but not break or what have you. There was a conflict between the styles of play. And it seems like Jeff Brom is trying to bring the styles of play so that they're a little more complementary of each other. Is that a fair way to put it? I mean, Purdue's got to be aggressive on both sides of the ball for this to work correctly, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, and that's exactly has been the goal of the staff. Trying to, like you said, Kyle, have the defensive style sort of mimic or mirror that aggressive offensive style that Jeff Brom has become known for since he got to West Lafayette in 2017. Aggressive. That's been the mantra, I guess, the buzzword that Coach Brom has uttered since that staff turnover on defense has started to occur last winter. 4 new assistant coaches. Again, they want to be aggressive. They're not going to sit back and be bend but don't break, which was basically the Bob Diaco philosophy last year. They're going to take their chances. They want to create big plays, Kyle. They know that they can't sit back and be passive. They have to get after people with blitzes and stunts. Again, they're going to be creative. And they're probably going to give up their fair share of big plays. I think we all understand that. Anytime you take chances, you're going to get burned, but they hope they make more big plays and then they yield. And, again, that will complement, they think, what they like to do offensively, too. And, Jeff Brom said he's going to be more involved with this defense, too. I asked him about that on Friday. He's going to be in the meeting rooms. He's going to offer his input. And one of the biggest things he did that he told me was change the terminology that I guess he was more familiar with, and everybody that he hired was on board with that. So he'll have a real understanding of what's going on that side of the ball. I think he knows the stakes are high, and this defense has got to work, Kyle. I don't think it's an understatement. I think you would agree with me that that's going to be the key to produce success in 2021 is that defense and how it develops and performs. It doesn't have to be a steel curtain. It's going to bleed its share of yards, but, again, it's got to have the big plays. It's got to have the sacks, the interceptions, the fumble recoveries, get off the field on third downs, things of those that can just pressure the quarterbacks, make them uncomfortable. Right. So, again, I think I personally like the hires. I love the veteran nuance and the veteran presence there with Brad Lambert being the guy pushing the buttons, with Mark Hagan, Ron English being the three main cogs. And it's going to be fun to watch this group get put together, not just by the coaches, Kyle, but also by the personnel, which has been largely turned over. 6 transfers are on that side of the ball, so they've injected some new talent there too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't care how many yards the defense gives up. You want to see big plays. The same as the late 90s, right? I mean, you wanted to see big plays. You want to see plays in the backfield. We didn't care how many – we didn't care how many points they gave up. Like, just make big plays at key moments and get the offense the ball back. I think that should be the whole philosophy. And it was just weird last year. Played too conservative on defense, which then led to being conservative on offense, and it just was so against what Purdue should be. It was strange.
Yeah, let me say this too. You talked about personality clashes too, and you were exactly right. Bob Diaco was not a fit with this staff from a personality standpoint. From everything I've been able to gather and understand is that was a one-voice defensive coaching room. There was little to no input from the other assistant coaches on that side of the ball. And I don't think that was something Jeff was really super happy about. And he's made it emphatically clear there are going to be multiple voices in that room. And, again, one of those is going to be his. He wants this to be a group effort. He doesn't want it to be a dictatorship, if you will. So, again, that's something that's going to be a lot different from last year as well. Different personalities, and it sounds like this group of guys – a lot more affable, and there seems to be a real teamwork quality about them.
Yeah. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, Tom and I will jump into the Big Ten, which is currently the Big 14, and might it be more than that? We'll talk about that coming up here in a moment on Gold and Black Radio. As we blitz into 2021, JFQ Lending is extending an exclusive offer for Gold and Black members to take advantage of historically low mortgage rates. JFQ Lending will cover any out-of-pocket costs for an appraisal when required. In addition, they will cover the underwriting fee of $1,365. JFQ Lending has a Better Business Bureau A rating with more than 2,000 reviews. If they work with top lenders and do the hard work of finding the best deal for you. If you're curious whether refinancing your mortgage is a good decision, reach out to Andrew Hogberg today. Call 480-478-0257 or email Andrew at ahogberg, AHOGBERG @jfqlending.com. Gridiron Metalworks is your go-to for grill grates and griddles and home and office decor branded to your favorite team, Purdue. Browse the designs that incorporate Purdue's logo and the Boilermaker Special in stainless or carbon steel, as well as other outdoor goods such as planters, flower pots, and fire pits. This is your solution for the hard-to-shop for and even featured on Purdue alum Brian Cardinal's Grill. Visit gridironmetal.com. Gold and Black Radio is brought to you by Homefield Apparel. Homefield makes premium collegiate apparel with vintage Purdue designs with incredibly soft and comfortable clothing, printed and owned in Indianapolis. That's homefieldapparel.com for your premium Purdue apparel with vintage designs. Check it out today. On the far end of Main Street in downtown Lafayette, you'll find East End Grill, Industrial and Classic. The restaurant is built like a steakhouse but handles like a bistro. East End Grill's menu includes creative starters, simple chopped salads, burgers, fresh fish, and steaks, and the signature shrimp and grits. The staff prepares every item from scratch and emphasizes simple meals that incorporate fresh, local, and seasonal ingredients. A warm and inviting dining room features a cozy bar that includes a great selection of craft beer, inspired cocktails, and a robust and expanding wine list. Whatever your entertainment needs are, a cocktail at the bar, dinner with family, or a special event in the private dining room, the energized and attentive staff is here for you. East End Grill in downtown Lafayette, welcome to our table.
Welcome to Gold and Black Radio as we take a look at this week in Purdue athletics.
All right, Tom, the couple teams there from the Big 12, Texas and Oklahoma, sort of threw college football into a little bit of a loop there last week with it coming out that it was looking to join the SEC. Man, it's going to cause, I would think, potentially another wave of dominoes to fall here if that actually does happen. The Big 12 would be in trouble and likely to just be poached, right? I mean, it seems difficult that a conference that was probably just hanging on after the last round of realignment would be able to survive the loss of two of its marquee programs.
Yeah, it's going to be almost impossible without those two, like you said, Kyle, marquee programs sitting at the front of the room in Texas and Oklahoma, the bells of the ball, if you will. It sounds like it's a done deal, right? And these talks have been going on for some time now in a very clandestine fashion. Of course, the A&M AD, Ross Bjork, he sort of leaked the news, I guess, during the SEC media days. But it looks like it's one big happy family now. A&M is okay if Texas comes in the SEC, and off we go, my friend, and another round of conference realignment at our doorstep. And again, what's next? That's what everybody wants to know, right? How soon is this merger going to happen for Texas and OU? And then what's going to happen to the Big 12? Are they going to get totally poached and picked apart maybe by the American Athletic Conference? Or are they going to try to take teams from that conference like Cincinnati, Memphis, and Central Florida? It's going to be fascinating to see how that sorts out. I think from a Big Ten perspective, which was what we all are more concerned about, they're obviously eyeballing all this, and I'm sure some phone calls have already been placed. Some wheels are in motion. You wonder what could happen. What are they doing? Again, you hope they're doing something right. I think the Notre Dame ship seems to have sailed, but who knows if you can ever talk those guys into returning your calls and joining your league. Speculation about the Pac-12 I saw today from Dan Wetzel. What about taking the 4 California Pac-12 schools and pushing your conference from coast to coast? Could be very interesting. USC, UCLA, Stanford, and Cal. A lot of academic heft there, Kyle, and some pretty good athletic programs as well. So a lot of possibilities people think about. What about Kansas and Iowa State coming to the Big Ten? I don't know. We all know what KU basketball is. I know it's scandal-ridden, but it's still a decorated program. But neither of those schools really moves the needle for the Big Ten much, I don't think, from a TV market standpoint, if that even matters that much anymore. But still, I don't think Kansas and Iowa State or anybody that's left in the Big 12 would do much to enhance the Big Ten's overall portfolio. So it's kind of fun to watch this stuff from the outside, and it's going to be, again, but kind of exciting to see how all this falls for the Big Ten.
Yeah, the Kansas-Iowa State doesn't do much for me either. I mean, you have to, football programs are what move the needle, and well, Kansas hasn't had not only a team that can win, but the coaching. What have they had? 6 coaches in the last 10 years, it feels like. I mean, it's been just a carousel of bad decisions. Iowa State is fine, but not particularly fun. It doesn't seem like it doesn't do much for me. Could you poach somebody from the ACC? I know Brian in his column this morning mentioned the possibility of a particular team and doing that. You think there's any possibility that the Big Ten could do that, much like they did with Maryland? However long that was, half a dozen years ago, or maybe longer at this point.
Yeah, 2012. Rutgers and Maryland came aboard. It's coming up on this, so I guess it'll be the 10th season, if you can believe it, how fast time goes. But, yeah, North Carolina would be interesting. I think you got to kick the tires, don't you? One of the premier schools in the ACC, if not the premier school, from an academic and athletic standpoint combined. Why not? I mean, again, you got to pick up the phone and ask. And again, Maryland's already made the move. One ACC team has done it. So somebody's already dipped their toe in the water, so to speak, from the ACC as far as making that move to the Big Ten. Reunite the Tar Heels with the Terrapins. And why not check with Virginia Tech and Virginia, too, two pretty good schools athletically and academically as well. I remember Georgia Tech was discussed, it seems like, when all this was going on a decade or so ago. Heck of a huge market in Atlanta. You plant the Big Ten's flag in the heart of SEC territory, right in Atlanta, and get a pretty good academic school and engineering school. That sports have been sort of middling, but maybe if they join the Big Ten, maybe that would help enhance the Yellow Jacket program. So, yeah, I think there's some schools out east in the ACC that I think the Big Ten probably would be very interested in. What about Pitt, too? I know Penn State would like that, but Pitt's a very good school academically and has pretty good athletic programs as well. So I think you could find a number of schools in that conference that would have interest for the Big Ten.
How much concern is there with the Big Ten, or talk of concern with the Big Ten, about competitive balance between the East and West divisions, and, particularly when you look at Purdue and it being just from a geographic basis, the most likely team to move from the West to the East if teams west of it are added to the conference?
Yeah, I mean, they'd have to figure all that out. I think that would be a lower priority at this point. I think you just want to see if you can find some schools that really would add value, and then try to figure out how all of it's going to work. And it's never going to be a hand-fits-glove fit, so it's probably going to have kind of a funky configuration. Maybe they go to the pod system, Kyle, where you have 4 pods that are more geographic-centric. But again, maybe you go to a north-south divisional alignment. I've seen things like that kicked around before. So, yeah, they'll have to figure out the configuration of things and how it's all going to work. But I think right now they want to see, hey, who's interested in returning our calls, who's interested in talking, maybe who's really interested in making the plunge and joining us.
Maybe back to the leaders and the legends.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe. Yeah. You know what? Yeah, just sort of like the old hockey, the Norris division, the Smythe division, the Adams, and the Patrick. So, yeah, maybe you come up with more generic names and you're not tied to geography. I still like geography, but, yeah, maybe they'll get a little creative here if they get to that point.
All right. Thanks, Tom.
Take care, buddy.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll put a wrap on this podcast. We'll do that next on Gold and Black Radio.
It's time to boiler up and join the Bronze Squad by gearing up with the best selection of Purdue apparel in stock only at Follett's. Visit the Black and Gold Mine store across from Mackey or Follett's Purdue West on State Street for the best game day apparel from Nike, Columbia, Champion, Cutter & Buck, and more. Shop Follett's late on game day weekends. Follett's has been your Purdue game day stop since 1945. If you can't make it to the game, shop online at follettspurdue.com.
Often, things are worth more than they seem. For Purdue grad and NASA astronaut Jerry Ross, incredible value was found in the Purdue Alumni Visa. Not just because of the exclusive Purdue card designs, but for the unlimited cash back and out-of-this-world Visa benefits. Discover the official Purdue Alumni Visa credit card. Apply today at PurdueFed.com. Purdue Federal Credit Union. Belong where you have worth. Federally insured by NCUA.
The Charters team at RE/MAX Ability Plus is your experienced real estate group in Greater Lafayette. If you're looking to list, buy, upsize, downsize, or anything else, give me a call or text 765-412-5217 or email Kyle at chartersteam.com.
Welcome to Gold and Black Radio as we take a look at this week in Purdue athletics.
Much more off the site, off Big Ten Media Day last week, and, of course, previewing the start of training camp, which will be coming up early next month. Be sure to check that out, goldandblack.com. All right, we'll be back next Monday again with this next podcast, and there will be others throughout the week as well. All right, that'll do it for our program. Thanks to our sponsors. And for Tom Dienhart, I'm Kyle Charters. Thanks for listening. This is Gold and Black Radio.